All right. All right, here we go. All right, so it says here in this video here, this is from last year. All right, so it says how America's left is preparing for escalating violence. All right.
And there are fears that a polarizing election will further inflame the culture war in the U.S. This week, the Department of Homeland Security warned of a rise in right-wing terrorism. The potential targets, including the LGBTQ community, as well as racial and ethnic minorities. Now, while the debate over gun controls remains deadlocked in Washington, one organization says the best protection for vulnerable groups is to give them guns as well. DW's Amin Isif caught up with them.
Rob Royce knows his guns inside and out.
This is for the revolver. That's 9mm, pretty standard now. 45 ACP for the fellow right there.
He's a certified handgun instructor, but not what you might call a typical one. He isn't a police officer, he's not in the military, and he doesn't vote Republican. He's a member of the Socialist Rifle Association, and he knows his politics may be a bit out of place here at this rural shooting range in Maryland. When he talks about the training he offers, he lowers his voice.
So for what we're doing, the target group is to provide a safe space for trans, queer, people of color, and other marginalized groups to get this training.
No teaching today, just target practice with fellow SRA member Eric to keep informed. In the parking lot, a prejudice is confirmed. A bumper sticker with an anti-trans slur.
Rob and I want to make sure that, that there is pushback against this kind of shit. That, trans people have a right to live.
You hear what he said, right? So, man, these niggas are crazy. All right. They're arming the left, as they would call the alphabeticals, the weirdos, right? And as of lately, over the past, year or two, a lot of these crimes that have been committed, the mass shootings and stuff like that, has been by these people that identify as the alphabeticals. So you see that something is being brewed up,
The Socialist Rifle Association was formed in 2017 and now claims several thousand members. A handful of the Maryland's chapter's members have come out to this monthly picnic. They say they're nothing like a right-wing militia, but one thing they do have in common is the belief that guns will make them safer.
So I bought my first gun. It was a shotgun 10 days after January 6th. I was terrified that, there's going to be an armed militia at the grocery store, and my child is non-binary. They hear me say they, them, or whatever, and so they just total this essence of paranoia.
So I was raised Jewish, and I sort of recently came out as trans. And
look at this guy. Look at him. Absolutely finished. Okay. That's how when you watch stuff like this is how you know it's going down. All right. And we got some other things we're going to bring out in this lesson, but let's finish it out.
Both of those aspects to my identity put me at a higher risk for political violence. When you hear about it so much, it feels like sooner or later it'll get to you. And you don't want to be in a position where you don't see it coming.
Perhaps surprisingly, there aren't any weapons at the picnic, but there are tourniquets and wound packing. After the barbecue, Rob teaches a first aid course called Stop the Bleed.
Stop right there. Look for blood on your hands.
There are no illusions here that carrying a firearm makes you completely invincible. In the U.S., an overwhelming majority of those who lean left politically support stricter gun laws and are less than half as likely to own firearms as those who lean right. But at this public outreach event in a park in Washington, D.C., the Socialist Rifle Association finds an audience for its message that there's an arms race in this country, whether you like it or not, and the right wing is winning by a long shot.
For a report by my colleague Amin Isif, who joins me in the studio. If I'm honest, this was quite disheartening. Can you tell us a little more about the socio-political climate that makes people in vulnerable communities resort to guns for their own protection because obviously they don't feel protected by the authorities.
Certainly. Yeah, I sense a sense of hopelessness there. And, you know, the Department of Homeland Security just came out with a report yesterday, actually, outlining that the new terrorist threat in the U.S. right now is from extremist violence, specifically right-wing violence. Here's what they said in this bulletin. The likely targets of potential violence in the U.S., including critical infrastructure, are members of the LGBTQIA community, schools, racial and ethnic minorities, and government facilities and personnel, including law enforcement. And also the threat against law enforcement is now coming from the right wing, not just the left wing, like we saw with the Black Panthers and things like this in the 60s and 70s. So there's definitely a climate here that's different from when I was a kid, you know, growing up. Left wing and gun ownership just did not go together. But I think, you know, since the 2020 elections, this kind of polarization in the United States, then culminating in the January 6th riots at the Capitol building, the storming of the Capitol, that was a watershed moment for a lot of people on the political left when they saw this eruption of violence from the right wing. And I think that stuck with a lot of people. You saw one of these.
All right, as you see in the feed, it says U.S. gun violence targets the alphabeticals, and racial minorities, which is you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. All right, this is the time of Jacob's trouble. All right, which we've been warning you. All right.
Guys in my report saying that he literally went out a few days afterwards and bought a shotgun because his kid identifies as non-binary and he was worried about protecting his own family. So this idea of protecting your own family on the left wing.
It's an argument, though, that the gun lobby has used for a really long time, right? It takes a good guy with a gun to take down a bad guy with a gun. How surprised were you to see that on the left of the political spectrum?
Right. This is kind of new to this generation now. You haven't seen this since previous eras in U.S. history. Now, this is not surprising to a historian who's looked at the U.S. Gun violence has existed at both the left and the right. You had union members, radical socialist union members in the 30s carrying weapons to defend themselves. You had the Black Panther movement in the 60s and 70s arming themselves against police. That was very provocative at that time. But this is pretty new, this idea that the left people, LGBT members, it's very new that they would take up arms to defend themselves. So yeah, I think that I haven't heard this argument coming from the left wing in my lifetime. But one difference that I would highlight is not this sense of like a hero who's at a shopping mall and saves everybody from an attack. That didn't exist in this group that I talked to. It was more the idea of that if I'm trans and I am specifically personally a target for right-wing hate crimes, then it's more about protecting myself against these crimes.
It's heartbreaking, really. And the truth is quite the opposite, isn't it? More guns don't mean more safety.
That's right. Statistically, it's insignificant. You know, you have these horrible attacks from the right wing in the U.S., this horrible bloodshed and violence, but it doesn't make individuals statistically more likely to die from gun violence, politically motivated gun violence. It's still just a small percentage of gun-related deaths. But what is interesting is, you know, that this idea exists that they have to do that. So yeah, I think going back to the idea that owning a gun will make you safer. This study after study shows that this is simply not true. There was one from Philadelphia that said possessing a firearm, it was done over a year, possessing a firearm makes you 4 times more likely in an assault to die from an assault. And if you had a chance to defend yourself, meaning if you could actually draw your gun and defend yourself, then you were 5.5 times more likely to die. So even the idea of like being aware of somebody attacking with a gun, having a gun yourself, you are more and more likely the more armed you are essentially to die in an attack.
I mean, Issa, thank you so much.
All right. Shalom, shalom. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Double salutations to our Akim out the labor in the house of David, the elect, that's pushing his word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers, and shalom to the elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rakak Wadash. All right, and I wanted to play that 7-minute video just to kind of get this lesson going. You know, you see that as they were speaking about the so-called left hand, left wing, arming themselves with guns, pretty much as we are in this time of 2024, a few months out, 5 to 6 months from the election, there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of talk about violence, for this upcoming election, because real quick, as what's going on as of, I want to say 6 hours ago, right? Let me pull that up. Okay, so it says here violence breaks out. Violence breaks out on the streets of France as far right national rally loses to left-wing alliance in elections. So apparently there's riots breaking out in France over the election that they had. Matter of fact, let's see if I can play this. Hold on. Slovakia. It's a little. So yeah, so apparently there's violence and shit going out there in the streets of France, and all those things are getting ready to happen here. Because remember, the stage is set, as we saw in this video that we played here in the beginning. All right, the stage is being set for civil unrest, political violence, things of that nature. All right, all these things are the signs of a destroyed society. All right, and let me grab the scripture real fast just to add to that. You already know Second Ezra chapter 15. Excuse me, man. I'm just coming over a little cold here, so forgive me if my voice sounds crazy. But anyway, this is Second Ezra 15, straight to the point. So it says, Second Ezra 15, verse 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So that whole video talked about pretty much arming up the left wing. And we know that the modern day sword is the gun. All right. So everybody and they damn mama got guns. All right. Guns are being sold out. Ammunition is being sold out. Everybody got guns. All right. And the Lord's about to put that spirit out for civil unrest. People are about to lose their goddamn minds, as we've been seeing throughout these years. So pretty much what I'm saying in this lesson, that obviously this shit is about to turn up. Okay. It says, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right. This is prophecy. Everything that we saw in the video that was discussed, this is all pertaining to biblical prophecy. There's no denying that the word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is faithful and true. All right, absolutely. Finishing it out, it says, for there should be sedition among men, which that word sedition goes into rebellion. All right, tumults. You see? For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they should not regard their kings or princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in the power. So we that's the town we coming into, where people are not going to regard law and order. Okay, it's going to be every man for himself. It's going to be a spirit out here where people are going to take actions in their own power. All right, which is going to result in what? Bodies in the street, mass death. All right, societal breakdown. Verse 17, a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able because of what? Martial law. All right, cities being shut down. You're not going to be able to have access to be able to enter or to exit a city. All right, these are the type of things that are on the table here, right? So like it says, verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid. It's going to be a terrible time. Okay. It says, and a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And yes, so when there's no law and order, there's going to be all types of crimes. There's going to be all types of, home invasions, robberies. Remember, they got all these goddamn migrants, from other lands, war criminals. All right, that they're purposely bringing over, all right, that are unaliving people, you know. So it's going to go to a whole nother level, all right, because of the lack of bread, all right. You're going to have famines, food shortages, all right. We're in a time of bank closures, all right, getting rid of the use of cash, you know, and for great tribulation, all right. So these are the things that the Lord has in store, not only for Babylon, but really all over the planet Earth, right? Now, going back to this article here, this came out July 5th, all right, a couple of days ago. So it says here in the headline, civil unrest is the next most predictable crisis for America right now, all right? And we've been speaking about this for a long time, all right? Esau's put these movies out here, you know, what they call it, predictive programming. All right. He's put that spirit out here that this thing is getting ready to happen. America's so-called Americans, both left and right wing, desire violence for this upcoming election. So either party, so either party that doesn't get their way, all right, they're for violence. They're ready to tear shit up. So either way, it's gonna go down. All right. As I did the lesson, all right, touching on this article here from Breitbart.com, Maxine Waters, if Trump wins in November, there would be violence, more killings. And this is what she was speaking about in this quick 2-minute video, right? Because Trump has put that spirit out there on these Edomites to promote violence, right? So let's read a little bit of this, and I want to make another point, because there's a lot of funny shit going on. You got a lot of you know, agent provocateur activity going on, agent-like activity. Remember, you know, there's spies in the midst of this thing. All right. You know, Esau has certain niggas in the midst of the circumcision that he's going to use to get us blamed, to set some shit off. All right. But I just want to read this article real fast. So it says civil unrest is the next most predictable crisis for America right now. It says, for the past 6 months, I've been writing about the clear uptick in civil war rhetoric within the establishment media in the U.S., and we all know that the coming presidential election is the reason for it. The bottom line is that no matter who ends up in the White House in 2025, there will be mass violence, but most of this violence will be reserved for the possibility of Donald Trump's return. All right, and this is what they continue to talk about. So something's got to happen, right? We just watching out for it. It says, as we have seen in Europe, mainly France, and any perceived shift towards conservative influence in government will undoubtedly result in riots from the political left. The media has so infected the minds of progressives that they truly believe conservatives intend to end democracy and launch an era of fascism. So in their view, all violence against conservatives, even moderates, is justified. All right. So as they say, the proof is in the pudding. Right. Now I'll read some more in a second, but I want to matter of fact, let me grab a scripture real quick. Let's grab that one, and also in 2nd Ezra's, not to be all over the place. 2nd Ezra's 9:1, and it reads, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. All right. And how do you measure the times? By the scriptures, man. All right. The scripture is the scriptures are the measuring stick, right? Pursuant to what is it, Revelation? I'll come back to that. Revelation 11. Let me get that. Exactly. Revelation 11 and 1, and it reads, it says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of the Most High, all right, which is Israel, the Israelites, and the altar in them that dwell, Salaki, in them that worship therein. So, you know, the measuring rod, the measuring stick, if you will, is the scriptures, man. You see? Going back, 2nd Ezra 9:1 again, it says, he answered me and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we clearly see that by measuring the time diligently. All right. The Lord said, when thou seest parts of the signs past. So when you see these things happening in the earth, all right, the riots, the the seditions and things of that nature, you go back to the scriptures. All right. And that's how you measure it. All right. The Lord said this, and we see it clearly. We see it plainly, playing out on earth. All right. So this is how we know. It says, verse 3, it says, therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? Which you see in France, over in Europe, even over here in America, people are rising up, the seditions, things of that nature, the riots. It says, then shall thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So that's our what's the word? That's our confirmation. All right, that the Lord's words are faithful and true. It says, for like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So the fact that we're speaking about civil unrest, civil war, society totally collapsing, these are signs of the end, man. This is the sign of the end of Babylon, the end of America. Whether you agree or not, doesn't really matter. All right, because this is still going to come to pass, whether you believe it or not. Your dumb ass is just going to get caught in the crossfire. You see? So before I go back to this article, like I said earlier, I want to just, highlight this because I seen a couple of brothers do lessons on it with this whole thing with IUIC and the KKK. Let me pull that up, right? Let's play this real quick.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Is everybody blind right now? Is that what's going on? Earlier, I came across this video, which I thought was a standalone thing. So I made a video about a doctrine not understanding the severity of what was happening right now in the United States. So we had the Hebrew Israelites out in full effect today, right? But at the same exact time, we have this going on at the same exact time. How coincidental.
Exactly. That's the point. And that's what brothers was highlighting through the spirit. How coincidental is that? Right? Showing you these guys bought and paid for, man. A lot of funny shit that's been going on with these guys for years. I remember a couple years ago, you had IUIC and ISUBK scrapping on the street and shit. It was like Hebrew wars out there on the street corners and shit. Bunch of wild shit, making the ministry look crazy, But that's what happens. These guys are under orders. These 501c3 tax exempt guys, bought and paid for, and Esau is going to use them. As I said earlier, a lot of agent type activity, things like that,
Understanding the severity of what was happening right now in the United States. So we had the Hebrew Israelites out in full effect today, right? But at the same exact time, we have this going on at the same exact time. How coincidental.
We lay ultimate claim to the pride of our mighty nation's legacy. Because without the race of men that built America, without the...
Did that literally not sound like it's something that was written beforehand? And both sides of this were very, very organized. The most organized I've ever even seen the Hebrew Israelites. So this weekend, we have both extremes going on at the same exact time. I could give a crap less about each one of y'all's skin colors. Y'all better listen to me and listen good. My opinion, this will not end well.
Boom. So you don't think something fishy is going on, man, through the spirit? Come on, man. Not buying it. That's why I said, it's a lot of agent type shit going on, spies, things like that. Esau's going to use these agent provocateurs. Just pulling up this definition here. All right. This is the definition of agent provocateur. It says a person employed to associate with suspected individuals or groups, right? With the purpose of inciting them to commit acts that will make them liable to punishment. You see? It says a person who secretly disrupts a group's activities from within the group. An instigator, troublemaker. It says a secret agent who incites suspected persons to commit illegal acts. So yeah, it's definitely spies and agents in the midst of this thing, man. As our elders and apostles have been warning us about, man. There's definitely, some infiltration, if you will, that's going on that Esau is going to use to get the ministry blame. And that's why, when I saw this video, I thought about with the guy, what's his name? Deacon Ayathun, I believe that's his name. Where he said in the video, he said they had high-level cops in the camp. Let me play that to remind you niggas, man. Right? I did a video on it. The Asian activity, hypocrisy, and the lies of the fake purple guys. All right, even more receipts. Right. So let's listen real quick.
In this country, what do we have freedom of? Speech. What else? The rights of assembly. What else? Of rights of religion. So what do you get? Bring to your job. What would you bring to your job? You don't have jobs. Bring a letter. A letterhead. I, oppose my instructions. I am not allowed to trim it. I can't take it. We have brothers in our congregation who are officers. High staff officers. So again, not just one but a few. So
not just one but a few. All right. He said they said they have brothers that are high level officers, not just one but a few. All right.
We have brothers in our congregation who are officers. High staff officers. We have brothers in our congregation who are officers. High staff officers.
All right, so you heard them. High established officers within this group. Okay, so you don't think that there's any agent provocateurs, any type of spies, any type of shit that Esau is going to use to get the Hebrew Israelites blamed as a whole? You better believe it, man. All right, this is Luke 20:20. All right, Luke 20:20, it says, and they watched him and sent forth spies, which should feign themselves just men, that they might take hold of his words, that so they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the governor, man. So there's definitely spies, spooks, all right, in the midst of this thing, man. All right, and this is why the spirit, as we were talking, as I was talking to elder brothers earlier, this is why the spirit is cracking down. So-called affiliates, well, really is no more affiliates, brothers that associated with GMS and are in this thing. But now it's coming out that a lot of these affiliate guys are full of shit. And that's a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? Guys that claim to be down ain't really down. But as I said before, we're in a time where Yahweh Hashem Shai is showing us the true colors of everybody. Because the Lord is cracking down. Order is being fully established right now, right? But the point, going back to the point, is that there's definitely agents and spies in the midst of this thing, man, that Esau is going to use to do whatever he's going to do. All right, Galatians 2:4. All right, Galatians chapter 2, verse 4, and it reads, it says, and because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privily to spy out our liberty, which we have in Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, that they might bring us into bondage. And that's what these agent provocateurs, this is what their job is. All right, to fuck shit up, to get us jammed up with the system, man, to get us arrested, to get us, locked in prison, to get us killed, whatever. Esau has these guys, these niggas sprinkled in the midst of these different camps, So anything can happen. So as we saw in the video, all right, dealing with this whole KKK and IUIC marching at the same time, all these things are going to tie into the civil unrest. Okay, anything can happen. Esau, whatever he's doing, he's brewing up something, man. All right. So let's read a little bit more. Okay. So all you brothers and sisters that's tuning in, you see it in the spirit. All right. Be circumspect, man. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. So it says, of course, their aggression and hysteria is only inspiring conservatives to respond with aggression in kind. This is where the potential for civil conflict arises. One side says only they are exalted enough to be allowed to dictate policy and law, and that side's ideology embraces moral relativism. I don't know if I said that right. Relativism. So you can see where this thing is headed. Excuse me. People are eventually going to fight back because they have no choice. It says, in the meantime, I suspect rioting and looting in America dealt with in 2020 will be a cakewalk in comparison to what we will see going into November 2024 and beyond. Leftists claim that they are, quote, protecting democracy, but you will see very quickly that they are as soon as democracy doesn't go their way, they will abandon it in a heartbeat and will try to win using other methods. Okay? It says, this means potential supply chain disruptions in major cities, as well as no-go areas in many retail districts, as we read in 2 Ezra 15. Right? Cities are going to be cut off. Right? There's going to be invasions because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. All these things are going to play into this scenario here. It says, sure, you might be able to get into a neighborhood to shop, but will you be able to leave? See? And will those suppliers even have enough goods on hand, or will the stores be turned into empty husk? Last paragraph here. It says, one rising trend should have all business owners and preppers on alert is the use of social media apps to coordinate seemingly spontaneous looting events. These events can be organized within hours, encouraging some of the worst people to congregate and strike a business block without ever meeting each other before. What I worry about is these methods will expand beyond chain stores and local government buildings, right? It's going to get crazy, right? He going in. Let me read this last one, and I'll leave it like that, and we'll move on to the next article. But it says, travel routes will come under threat. Fright could be targeted, and we may even see looters and rioters move into residential areas further away from the city center. Supply chain issues will surely arise. At the very least, there will be concerns among freight drivers, and they are taking a risk carrying truckloads of valuable resources into places where they could be surrounded by an angry mob and hijacked or worse. Right. So that's what's going to happen when people disregard law and order. All right. Shit is going to get fucked up. All right. And this is what we're warning you. All right. 2024 has been coined what? The hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. You see? So, like I said, tying that in, you know, with the purple guys and the KKK and how they're out here marching at the same time, you know, the talks of sedition, civil war. It's like, come on, man. All right. A prudent man foreseeth the evil. All right. But the wicked pass on and are punished. The simple pass on and are punished. We see what Esau's trying to do, man. All right. So let me read another article and we'll grab some more scriptures. You know, I pray that I'm not ranting, right? Excuse me. So it says, let's grab this one here. All right. So this is from foreignpolicy.com. Okay. This came out June 28th, 2024. All right. So about a week or so ago. So it says, how bad will political violence in the U.S. get? Civil war is unlikely, but other alarming scenarios are quite possible. All right. This is all in the media, man. All right. Preparing the minds of the people for these things to go down. All right. So it says, it is a measure of this, how you say that word? Divisiveness and tolerance for violence in the United States that the possibility of civil war looms so large over the 2024 presidential election no matter which candidate wins. All right. People are just tired, man. People are tired and fed up with this whole bread and circus bullshit, the politics, the left wing, right wing, conservative, traditional, whatever, all these sub parties, man. It's all bullshit, man. Right. So this thing is getting ready to hit the fan. It says it is even the subject of a hit dystopian thriller. Though an actual civil war resulting from the election's outcome remains unlikely, a range of sufficiently alarming political violence scenarios are nevertheless quite possible, right? It says former President Donald Trump's conviction on 34 counts of falsifying business records has sharpened frictions with threats to judiciary and his opponents immediately intensifying. Quote, time to start capping some lefties. This cannot be fixed by voting. One typical reaction tracked by Reuters on Gateway Pundit, a right-wing news site, far-right media personality Stu Peters said on his Telegram channel that our judicial system has been weaponized against the American people. Exactly. It says we are left with no option but to take matters in our own hands. That's 2 Ezra chapter 15. All right, let's go back to that. People are left to take matters into their own hands, as we just read. Let's go back to 2 Ezra 15 just to read that precept again. All right, taking matters in their own hands. 2 Ezra 15 in verse 16. All right, for there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings, their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, it's time to take matters in our own hands, as he said. Shit is going to pop. All right, and Esau is going to use Jake and all his agent shit to set it off. Might use some Sakari niggas. Who knows? ISUPK, some bug out. Maybe some bug out Israelite that nobody knows about. They might use him to run up in some shit with some shit strapped to him, I mean, you don't know. All right. But this is why we're keeping our head on the swivel, pursuing Ephesians 5 and 15. It says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. All right. Esau is brewing up some shit, man. Okay. Whatever he's going to do is going to go to the next level. Right. As we're reading all of these sources here in the news. See, let's see if there's a little bit more I want to read here. Just making a point. Salaki, excuse me. Salaki, bear with me 1 second. All right, Salakia. But anyway, get right back into this thing. All right. So anyway, so it says that last part, it says we are left with no option but to take matters in our own hands. Okay. Prophecy. So reading on here, and we're not going to read all this. This is a long article. All right. Just want to make these points. So it says, meanwhile, our assessments suggest that the elements on the far left in this country are escalating militant threats, right? It says a call to, quote, fuck the fourth recently appeared in an anarchist website heralding a day of action on July 4th, targeting ports of Seattle, Oakland, Los Angeles, Boston, New York, New Jersey, and Baltimore. Additional summons to flood the gates escalate over the Gaza war, both on college campuses and the communities across the nation this summer, and fall are circulating on social media. At a pro-Palestine protest at the White House in June, one protester held up a decapitated likeness of President Joe Biden's head while crowds chanted revolution, right? So, hey, this shit is getting intense. You know, this is what we like to hear right here. Let it go down. All right. Yeah, let's just finish this off. So we'll finish this last paragraph, these last two here. Okay. So it says these would be violent extremists represent a microcosm of a U.S. political landscape that is increasingly willing to tolerate violence. A survey conducted last year found that 23% of Americans agreed with the statement that because things have gotten so far off track, true American patriots may have to resort to violence in order to save our country. Let's go, man. All right, let's go, champ. It says another more recent poll similarly found that 28% of Republicans strongly agree that, quote, Americans may have to resort to violence in order to get the country back on track. Meanwhile, 12% of Democrats agreed with the premise. Among gun owners in the United States, these sentiments are even more prevalent. According to a survey conducted by the University of California, Davis, about 42% of owners of assault-type rifles said political violence could be justified, rising to 44% of recent gun purchasers, and a staggering 56% of those who always or nearly always carry loaded guns in public, man. So this shit gonna get crazy, man. All right. And the moment this pops off, all hell is gonna break loose and they're gonna lock this shit down, man. All right. So this could be used as that next event to pretty much, turn America on its head. All right. Mark 3:25. Okay. Mark 3:24. I'll start at 23. Mark 3:23 says, and he called unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? Verse 24, if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And what we see through all these news outlets, these news articles, right? We're seeing this Babylonian kingdom, this American kingdom divided within itself, right? Which is a major sign of its fall. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but have an end. You see that? So here it is. You have, these Edomites, whether they're left, right, whatever, they're divided. And then you have America divided against Russia and the shit that's going on a geopolitical scale. So this place is coming to a great and violent end. All right. And we're watching, like it told us in Baruch, let me get that. In Baruch, the 4th chapter, the Lord said that we were going to see pretty much the fall of our enemy, and this is happening internally. All right. This place is being destroyed from within. Baruch, the 4th chapter, in verse, bear with me. Baruch 4 and Baruch 4:25. It's Baruch chapter 4, verse 25. It says, my children, suffer patiently in the wrath that has come upon you. All right. Speaking about you Israelites. Okay. You so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. All right. And specifically dealing with the elect. It says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from the Most High. For thy enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shall tread upon his neck. So we're literally seeing the destruction of our enemy, man. We're seeing the destruction of his empire, man, of his system. Okay, these are all signs of a declining system, a declining society, when your own people are divided against each other. When your own citizens don't want to join the military, all right, where your own citizens don't believe in the government, man. They don't believe in the system no more. Okay, These political parties, they don't trust these doctors, right? Anything that they pub on the mainstream, people are not buying this shit no more, man. That's why mainstream media is dying. This is why these political candidates and these politicians are talking about anybody that has, an online platform needs to be silenced. They need to be stopped, right? Because social media and how news can travel so quickly via social media is a major problem for this man's enterprise. So they're doing everything to stop it. This is why all the laws are being put in place to come against, social media, these platforms, the people that are on these platforms really dealing with us, but they're doing everything to control the narrative. This is what it's all about. And Esau, he's failing, but it's all ties once again, to his destruction, right? What was that? But shortly thou shalt see his destruction and tread upon his neck. See? So this place is going down, right? It's no healing of Babylon, man. Mark 3:24, a kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Okay? The dollar's on his way out of there. They got to hurry up and implement the MOTB, the CHIP. All right, the universal basic income, man. This shit is about to get crazy out here, Jake. Right? You better hope and pray. You better know Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. You better get right with the Lord. That's all we can tell you. Or your ass is grass out here. All right. So that's pretty much the point I wanted to read in that article there. All right. The point was made. Like I said, it's a long article. Is there anything else I want to read? I mean, you brothers and sisters that's tuning in, you get it, man. Pay attention. Okay, that spirit is definitely in the air, man. All right. And we'll leave it like that. I mean, that's pretty much the lesson, man. I don't want to be the dead horse. All right, this video is showing you that the so-called left wing is arming up with guns. All right, these transformers, these sodomites, these weirdos. All right, they got the guns. The right wing, they got the guns. Everybody got the guns. All right, so it's gonna get real messy and real violent out here, man. You got the you got the Asian provocateurs, you got the spies in the midst of this thing. All right, shit is just gonna be nuts, man. Let me play this again and then we'll wrap it up. Let's play this one more time.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Is everybody blind right now? Is that what's going on? Earlier, I came across this video, which I thought was a standalone thing. So I made a video about a doctrine not understanding the severity of what was happening right now in the United States. So we had the Hebrew Israelites out in full effect today, right? But at the same exact time, we have this going on at the same exact time. How coincidental.
We lay ultimate claim to the pride of our mighty nation's legacy. Because without the race of men that built America, without the...
Did that literally not sound like something that was written beforehand? And both sides of this were very, very organized. The most organized I've ever even seen the Hebrew Israelites. So this weekend, we have both extremes going on at the same exact time. I can give a crap less about each one of y'all's skin colors. Y'all better listen to me and listen good. My opinion, this will not end well.
Right. Yeah, so Esau, he could have some shit where like he could have a Hebrew Israelite group face off with the KKK or some shit, a whole body, a clash type shit, man. You never know, man. So hey, just stay circumspect out there, man. Like the scriptures say, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. So, come on, man. This shit is just tacky. But at the end of the day, it's all prophecy. Something has to happen that's going to change the course of Babylon, So, you brothers and sisters out there, you sincere believers in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, just continue to watch out, as I always say, man. Something is up. All right? Civil unrest is the next most predictable crisis for America now. All right? So, hey, I pray that you were informed. I pray that you were edified. I'm going to close it out by giving all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring in the house of David, the elect, that's pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers, and shalom to the elect. Shalom.